Dear Diary, my mum's name is Karen and I'm embarrassed. Today is the 1st of May and I'm starting this diary to keep track of all the times that my mum does a Karen. The sad thing about this is that she has no idea what a Karen is. She senses people laughing at her, but she has no idea why. Should I tell her? She may feel embarrassed or maybe sad. She may want to change her name. But I know another person named Karen and they don't act as a Karen, but my mum does. Maybe if I tell her she may change her ways. Anyway, I feel like I'm babbling and not making any sense, but I am going to start documenting any embarrassing moments. I should have done this years ago. Dear Diary, it's the 4th of May. Yesterday, Mum wanted to speak to the manager at our new grocery store because they didn't have her favourite cereal. I tried to convince her it wasn't a big deal and that she could get a different brand, but she wouldn't hear of it. She was complaining so loud that everyone could hear her. I knew what they were thinking. Oh great, here comes another Karen. I could see the amusement on the manager's face as she introduced herself as Karen. I was so embarrassed that I wanted to crawl under a rock. The manager was trying hard not to laugh. He struggled to keep a straight face. He apologised to my mum and promised to order her favourite cereal. As we walked away, my mum was beaming with pride that she got what she wanted. But all I could think about was how embarrassing the situation was and how unaware she was of people laughing behind her back. I wish she could see how she comes across to other people. Maybe she wouldn't act like such a Karen all the time. Dear Diary, my mum did another classic Karen move last night. On the 9th of May, we went to a restaurant for dinner, but they seated us at the back of the kitchen and Mum hates that area because the staff always passes by our table. I could feel my face turning red when she immediately asked for a better table. The waitress said they were all reserved. Mum got upset and loudly asked to speak to the manager, making things worse. When he came and asked what the problem was, she proudly introduced herself as Karen and demanded a better seat. The manager looked at her like she was crazy and said, "Sorry, all the tables are reserved." Mum got even more upset and finally said, "Fine, we'll sit here then," but she expected a discount. I saw the wait staff rolling their eyes and I just wanted to disappear. The other diners were sniggering and one almost choked on his food, trying not to laugh out loud. I heard someone say, "That's a typical Karen." But my mum had no idea how embarrassing she was. Dear Diary, today's the 13th of May and it was a disaster. We had to do a presentation about our family history at school and I was dreading it. I had to mention my mum's name and I cringed just thinking about it. When it was my turn to present, I said, "My mum's name is Karen." And some kids burst out laughing because they know Mum is a very angry person at times. Even the teacher couldn't help but chuckle. I turned bright red. I felt like hiding under my desk. It was so hard to finish my presentation. I couldn't believe how embarrassing it was to say my mum's name. I wish my mum could see how her name affects my life. Maybe then she would understand why I'm always so embarrassed, but she has no idea, and it's so frustrating. Dear Diary, I feel bad about writing about my mum. I love her, but I have to do something about this, and I have come across a great idea. Next week is my mum's birthday. I now know exactly where I am going to take her for her birthday. I'm going to say it's a surprise. I'm going to feel nervous. And I'm most probably going to break her heart. It's either make or break. Dear Diary, yesterday was a day I'll never forget. It was my mum's birthday and I came up with the most daring plan to surprise her. I decided to take her to a restaurant without telling her the name. Little did she know it was a Karen-themed restaurant. I was hoping that she would see what actual Karens sound like. When I booked, I explained to the hostess what I was planning. She said, "Don't worry, leave it up to us." I gave the hostess a secret signal to ensure we were seated without my mum catching a glimpse of the restaurant's name. I didn't want her to suspect a thing. The hostess understood and played along, leading us to the table. As we sat down, the waitstaff was acting very rude and sassy. They were throwing sarcastic remarks at customers. As usual, my mum started getting annoyed with the waitstaff's behaviour. She demanded better service. They intentionally mixed up orders, pretending to be overwhelmed by her requests, and even faking exaggerated sighs and eye rolls. For instance, when my mum asked for extra dressing on her salad, the waiter replied, "Certainly, ma'am, let me grab a bucket of dressing just for you. We wouldn't want any left to go undrenched." My mum's mouth gaped open in horror. She then heard a customer ask for a suggestion as to what to eat, and the waiter responded, "Well, we have a dish called the Karen Special. It's our finest plate of complaints and demands, highly recommended." The customer laughed, and my mum was seething. She asked me what the waitress meant by Karen Special. She was so confused as to why people were laughing and why they were not walking out in disgust. Mum certainly gave it back to them. The only difference was that she was completely serious, and just before she was ready to get up and leave in disgust, the birthday cake came out. The waitstaff gathered around the table singing happy birthday, but when they sang, "Happy birthday, dear Karen," everyone in the restaurant burst into laughter. My mum's face went from confusion to embarrassment as she finally understood what being a Karen meant. She realised how others saw her and how her actions affected everyone, including me, of course. It was a moment of reflection and humility that I never expected to witness. But here's the amazing part. Instead of getting angry or defensive, my mum surprised us all. She started laughing along with the crowd, acknowledging the irony of the situation. She admitted that she had been a bit of a Karen sometimes, and that it was time for a change. As we left the restaurant, my mum turned to me with gratitude and humility in her eyes. She thanked me for the unique birthday surprise and for opening her eyes. She promised to work on herself to be more understanding and to let go of the negative Karen traits. So that's the story of my mum's Karen-themed birthday surprise. It began with embarrassment and laughter, but it ended with growth, understanding, and a newfound determination to change. I'm excited to see how my mum continues to evolve and how this experience can change things for the better. If you enjoyed this story, then I'm sure you'll enjoy the other stories from this end screen. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.